I'm just laughing at today, man. I did that all by myself too. I want that recorded.
199 employees. Wait, bump it up there.
We are so close. We were down to 427 at one point. That means what the good news is? It means that we can add 8 more beds. We're about 124 in nursing home. We're gonna be.
Did you get me right?
No, I didn't. We're recording at
Keep people off the list.
I remember Dave.
All right.
Have to
All right, everything was fine until you guys get on.
It's Devin acting up. Devin, keep it under control.
Cheryl, you have another.
Hang on, what is this? This is-
agenda. If not, let me go back. I don't, but let me make some more copies.
You may have to go,
Minute.
Devin, you may have to go on and off again.
2 minutes.
Talk for a second. Let me hear you.
Just minutes.
And
Never
I
mind.
got an
Go.
agenda.
I can hear you muted.
We just need an agenda.
Okay.
No.
You have one that I can take a
Nick, can
copy
you
of?
talk? And I
Hang on, I got an agenda, no.
Nope.
And wait, I need the,
Yeah, I can talk.
All right, so it's Devin, it's you. Whatever.
You sound like me.
Yeah, you're Mickey Mousing, so you have to go off and try again.
Put away the helium.
Yeah.
It's a helium leak.
Do you want me
Go check
Yeah.
the tanks.
Well, don't screw it up though.
Devin, log off and log back in.
Can you hear us? Log off. Totally log off and log back in.
Vehicle.
No, he's in Randy Hall's office at the jail, but Randy's computer, I don't know. I've never seen that office log into Zoom, so I don't know what kind of
Yeah.
technology is it, yeah.
The camera looked yellow. The microphone.
I know.
Works.
Seeing that it's 8:30, we're gonna call this commissioners meeting to order. It's Wednesday, August 12th. All commissioners are present. I'm gonna start off with public comments, seeing that there's no public. I'm going to move on to elected officials and department head updates. We'll get to some of yours in a bit. I know, Nick, you're here. I don't know if Devin can now talk and not sound like Mickey Mouse. But we'll test that out in a second. So you want to start, Nick, and Devin can join us?
Yeah, just to give an update on some of the stuff. I've been off for a little bit, so I'm coming back tomorrow. So I'm on Zoom from home. But the AC unit is, we are getting AC. One of the hot water heaters is working. One of them is not. They did put in a claim through Primex. That was Chris's recommendation. So Steve's been on it with us. And so they got a lot of the steps. Devin got Steve a time frame of everything from when the power went out to when the problems were finally noticed to when the companies were called, the invoices that were given and everything. Devin did get a quote from, what was it, E&E about if they were to come and do a detailed check on everything. The quote, I think, was $26,000.
About 27,000.
Oh, okay, yeah, 20. So he did get that checked. That was just the quote E&E sent us. They did, when the lead engineer from E&E came, we asked, and Chris asked about what can we do as a backup in the future, and there isn't really a simple backup they could give us. There's no like easy backup. There's no double system or anything like that. This was just kind of a wild scenario that happened, but it's not like we could have something on hand. So if it did happen again, then we could just switch to that. It's not really a simple thing like that. Devin can talk a little bit more to it if he doesn't sound silly, but
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this was an anomaly that just happened. Everybody we've talked to so far up to this point said this just happens. There's no prevention from stopping power surges from damaging any type of electronical equipment. Like Philly said, we now have one hot water boiler up and running. Our AC is working. I think our plan forward from this point is to get everything running, and then we would like to have the E&E systems engineers and techs come in and do a retro commissioning of the entire system, because we still don't know exactly what else has been affected. downstream from where we're at now.
And one of the things that we did learn is that one of the issues was that when they had the surge, it went into default mode. Default mode in New England is heat.
Yes.
So they had to correct that, and it was actually something about this big that was really the problem, if I remember exactly. And he was able to pinpoint that, fix that really quickly, and it took probably about 3 hours, correct me if I'm wrong, about 3 hours to get us back to where it's comfortable. But it was many days where we didn't have any AC and no hot water. Or should say we had hottish water, we had it in the 80s.
Correct.
It's now over 100 and it's back to semi-normal, so I think the guys learned a lot out of it too, and understand it. They were right there with the team, learning as they went about, asking questions the whole time. And I think they have a greater handle on the overall process. Like you said, it was a car accident, it took out a telephone pole that caused a surge, and there you are. And so now we know that. We also know, as he said, that the whole panel is outdated and will have to be replaced over time. We can do it piecemeal, though. We don't have to do it all at once, is what they said. And so we'll take a look at all the alternatives and see how we want to move forward.
So it was just a minor disruption. It didn't really cause any problems. The operation of VOC though, right?
It created angst across the all departments because they had no AC for 6 days?
Yeah.
Yes.
6 days when you, and so actually, I will tell you, for not having any AC and walking the unit, walking the halls in near the pods, I did not want to go into any of the pods because I knew I would be somebody that everybody would all of a sudden, I could create angst at a higher level if I went in and they could all of a sudden have somebody to direct it towards. But everybody seemed to handle it well. They had extra water in there. They had industrial fans that they brought in. So they handled it extremely well during the night. They had the activity areas on windows open so that the cool air could be brought in to cool down that area. But from about 2:30 on in the afternoon, if it was a hot day, it did warm up and you had to shut everything up and just blow a lot of hot, warmer air around the area. But we didn't have any incidents that I'm aware of. We had people wondering what was going on. And I think if Devin walked into a unit, they would ask him immediately, what's going on? You know, is it fixed yet? You know, that kind, and he'd be saying they're working on it. But then we were able to get the architect here. It's interesting. All of a sudden, he just all of a sudden showed up, right?
Right.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah, real surprising after you know talk on the phone and say, why aren't you here? And then they turned it around and everything else is back. That's normal.
I guess my question would be, if the expert came in and found the issue in a short amount of time, what can we do to make sure that there's an expert available when we make the first call?
It's one of the questions I asked, and it was a perfect storm. The guy that normally is the backup for everybody, the architect that knows the system inside and out, was on vacation.
Yeah,
And
Chris, the main engineer that knows that system was on vacation. They just so happened to be on vacation at that time. So I got the next best thing, which was who was the engineer in charge at that point, and that was Tim. And Tim knows the system, but he doesn't know it as well as Sam does. So Tim was helping us work through the problems until Sam came back from vacation.
that was that. And once he came through, it was within, hours. I would say that they figured out where the issue was and they were able to turn things around real quickly. So I said to them, well, he's probably going to go on vacation again.
Or get hit by a bus.
Or retire or whatever it may be. So I received a call from some of the top brass there this week, and they're looking into how to come up with a solution to those answers. But it's a good question because we asked the same thing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other things that you guys have?
No, that's all we really had.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're at a good spot right now. Like I said, we still don't know exactly the extent of this. So hopefully if we could get the engineers in here with the technician and kind of go through the system and actually find out all the issues that it may have caused.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have a an extension of an FMLA, leave of absence request for one of our employees at Maplewood. He will exhaust his FMLA, effective September 2nd, but he had a non-work related, very significant fracture and he's got some complications. So they're looking for an additional 8 weeks after his, FMLA exhaust, which would bring him back at the end of October. This would be without pay because he, I believe at this point, has exhausted all of his time.
Okay, great.
Broke his leg.
Is there a motion?
How to break his foot.
I don't know. I try to stay out of people's.
He fall down the stairs, have a
He did-
motorcycle
He did
accident.
something
That's
pretty
awful.
significant, yeah.
That's a long healing time.
Did I hear so?
Yeah.
My question,
Yes,
my question would be, by extending it, we're not causing ourselves any great issue, are we? I mean, it isn't.
He works in our activities department, so they're working a little short, but it's not, I talked to his manager and she is supportive of us.
And I'd move to extend as requested.
second,
The second, Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
yes.
Commissioner DiBernardo.
Yes.
All right, moving on. I'm gonna jump the calendar a little bit and start with the EMS presentation that we have today. I want to start off by having Chief hand you out and take the time for you to just read what he has put together. Mike is here. He is our architect. You've met him before, to really support the conversation and answer any questions that people may have pertaining to this. But just wanted to start with you reading this document that I think is outstanding that the chief really put together. How many you guys are all set? All set, we'll move on. So as you know, we've been, especially now with the rural transformation fund in play. We've been taking a look at our needs across the county, but one of the biggest needs we have is in EMS. When we started this whole idea, it was initially with 2 ambulances. It was, that we were going to be transporting interfacility transfers and Westmoreland. Over time, that grew to 3. And then when Swansea became a reality, it becomes 4 and quickly 5, and that's where we are today. We built this facility with the idea that we were really gonna run the problem at the max 3 to 4 ambulances at a time. We're at 5. We could be heading towards 6 in the near future. And we also built it with the idea of, we only had so much money, so much funds, ARPA funds. So we built off of what was there and built new at the same time. The bays, as you know, are new, and they are for 6 vehicles. Currently, if you drive by, you'll see that we have multiple ambulances outside. We're about to take on another new ambulance and a new paramedic intercept in the near future, September, I believe. And that is going to strain us even that much more. So we are looking at what we need to do, and whether it is, build off what is currently there, and does that make sense, or look longer term and build new, and what would that mean, and what the funding would look like. We had an opportunity, and we took it, just because we didn't want to lose the opportunity to go after a $50,000 planning grant. And so we took that so that we had more time to take a look at the capabilities of us going after this. And the need is that we're needing more beds, we're needing more. We do not have right now the upstairs, which they call the bowling alley, was actually built for storage than it's what it is utilized for. It is not handicapped accessible. We do have community trainings that go on, and it's just reality. If you're going to build something, it should be handicap accessible. So there's multiple concerns we have, but really it's about the growth. And I want to start first by just allowing the chief to add any of his thoughts. I know he's written it down, but if you have any other thoughts that you want to express or add before we go to Mike, and just allow him to give some insight from what he's looking at, and because Mike was the architect that built the initial, with what information we had at the time is what it should be. So want to start with any comments that you have?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, thank you for taking the time to read that. I think most of my thoughts are in there. I think that we've done a very good job trying to manage what we have going on and build a really successful department. I think right now, especially with the rural healthcare funding and things like that, understanding that, Cheshire County EMS has been not a inexpensive endeavor. Right, so recognizing a great opportunity and trying to make sure that we can take advantage of that. I figured it right now is a great opportunity to just bring some of I almost felt guilty writing it, right? Because it's like this whole thing was built and it's been wonderful and things like that. So kind of pointing out some of the flaws to it and our capabilities operating within it, where it was slightly difficult. So I don't have much to say other than, I'm hoping that we have the opportunity to move forward with planning and seeing what we may or may not be able to do with different funding opportunities, and appreciate your time and here mostly to answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, these two calls,
Can we first just hear from Mike before?
Oh.
Is that all right?
No.
All right, sorry.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Mike Petrovic. I was the architect for the current site. And, we really did a lot with a little. There wasn't a lot of funding available. And really the focus needed to be on building a new building to house the ambulances. We had 2 existing buildings to kind of work with and create what we could on a very, very tight budget. And really an unknown. There was a lot of unknowns about what this operation would be. As we look at expanding that operation and creating a facility for that operation, that site is underutilized and could be a lot more. And so as we look at ways to rethink it and build off of what's there, there's a lot of opportunity there. And the existing building, which is the administration building, was an existing building that we essentially put a little bit of money at to make it so it could function, so that they could get started and really see what this is. So there's opportunity there, and to bring that site up to meeting all the requirements of a true EMS facility.
Hey, Terry, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You got anything yet? All right. Okay, as far as, the call volumes. I looked over the heat map that you sent over. Okay, so that's a subscription that, we no longer, we still have that subscription to that, was that name of that company?
Yeah, the continuum subscription, yes, yep.
I spoke at length with, Steve over at Rescue and asking him about if he had something like that, said he had continuum up until a few years ago. Hasn't used it because of the cost. But he did say that he was pretty much just gonna stay in Hinsdale and Chesterfield up to 32.
It's
Yeah. 32. But that he'd seen, he's been in Keene a lot. He said. We've been in Keene a lot too.
Yes.
Why? Why both of us?
Well, it all depends on what is happening, Keene in their, run cards, if they have major events. They will pull resources from Cheshire County EMS primarily to, like, if there's a fire, for example, Cheshire County EMS will provide the ambulance for the scene itself and, the EMS operations for that. Oftentimes, in order to not deplete Cheshire County EMS of all of its resources, they'll additionally request Rescue Inc. to come on to cover additional call volumes that may or may not present itself.
Or other communities.
Or other communities.
So this isn't a spike. This is just something that's happened long. It sounded to me that it was something that's anomalous.
I can't speak, that would be more of a question for him. I know when we're called, we respond to the city of Keene.
I mean, is it more now than it used to be?
Very little.
Okay.
The current chief revised his run card a little bit. For a while, we were only sending 1 unit to the scene. And Rescue was backfilling from the Keene stations. They want a quicker response after their Keene station.
I know we just entered into an agreement with them.
We're still going back and forth with that agreement. It is not. They had as you, I'm sure are aware, a change in their leadership. So I think, we are still in communication, but we're just letting the dust settle on that transition. But I have reached out to Chief Seymour multiple times just to make sure and it's been assured it's still on the table. We just have to have that conversation.
So is that likely to increase the calls into Keene?
I don't believe it will adjust their run card. So I can't say whether it would increase or decrease the call volume of the Keene.
It depends on the day too. I mean, to be honest, Keene has pushed forward to add more staff.
Yep.
Which, when you're adding more staff, means they have the availability of adding another ambulance to the scenario. So I believe that at least they're running at least 2 a day. At
Yep.
least. Unless staffing is a concern. Like
Or
everybody-
vehicle maintenance. They've
vehicle
had
maintenance.
multiple vehicles have mechanical failures. not unlike us, and they'll communicate that. And if they're down 2 ambulances, you know, they may only have 1 or 2 running for the city that day. They communicate that to Deputy Atkins, and that would be a day that we're probably gonna get called into Keene considerably more.
But they're only, I mean, last year they were only like 80 calls, 100 calls.
Yeah.
Our core mission right now is, and you tell me if I'm off the numbers here, but you know, Swansea's 1,200 calls. Winchester has the ability to have 800 calls, of which we're in a month's time, we're doing anywhere between 30 to 60% of those calls.
I have 2 ambulances right now in Fitzwilliam for a motor vehicle accident on Route 119.
Right, so Troy Fitzwilliam, and that's a backup. And
We're primary too.
and we're probably primary because there are staffing issues. But we also have a core coming out of Marlboro and Harrisville right there. So that's the meat of a good chunk of our calls right there. And then you have Winchester, Fitzwilliam, Troy, like you just said, that adds in a little flavor to it too.
So would you say that, in the number of calls, would it be Swansea, Winchester, Marlboro, and east, and then north, in that order? Taking.
I could definitely get you the town by town call numbers.
Well, I've seen the way it looks.
Yeah, I would think that Swansea is by far the most prolific. Winchester depends on the day, Marlboro, Westmoreland, then, you know, Harrisville, Gilsum, Stoddard are probably pretty comparable across the board. Yeah, Richmond is probably one of the lower. Yep. Richmond and Gilsum.
Yeah, so I've been just trying to look at the need, the present need, and we've seen past, and trying to predict where, you know, where some of that is being taken care of by other people will fall on us. So would you say that that's a possibility?
Yeah, I think especially as part of our strategic plan, and Deputy Atkins and I meet pretty regularly. We have been for over 2 years, even back when Chief Byrne was here, and looking at every ambulance service around us and some of the difficulties that they're facing, trying to have open lines of communication with them, with their select boards, you know, and then basically around the water cooler of, you know, who's having staffing issues, who's having budgetary issues, and trying to identify, okay, it's kind of not a game, but a strategic move to say, okay, hypothetical situation, this ambulance department closes tomorrow, what would our reaction be, and how are we poised to answer that bell? Thankfully, you know, most of those things have not come to total fruition, but we do have, you know, the day of the barbecue over the summer, right? Keene dumped their entire barn. Fitzwilliam, Troy did not have coverage that day. Winchester did not have that coverage that day. We had a full complement of staffing that day. But that ambulance that was at the summer outing, that was the only ambulance available for the city of Keene, all their contracts, all of our contracts, Fitzwilliam, Troy, and Winchester. And we were just with bated breath. Thankfully, we got through without another major issue, because that would have been, I mean, we would have probably had, you know, Alstead coming down into the area, or Jaffrey Ridge or Peterborough needing to be coming over to cover something.
Just one more question, of course, over to the rest of the colleagues here. This build here, let's look at 10 years from now, 15 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, are we gonna find ourselves in 10 years saying that this is not enough? Just right?
the communication that I've had with Mike and Chris so far, we don't have the exact plans, but that has been our top priority, is to make sure that this is something that is not only suitable for what we have going on today, but well into the future.
So I'm gonna turn it over to Mike in 2 seconds, but this is an ongoing conversation. There's two ways we can look at this. And it really comes down to cost. We can take a look at what we have currently and try to build off it. Is that the best case scenario? No, it's not. That is a 10 to 15 year look, I would guess, and might even cut it even shorter. But or we build new, then you're looking out years. So it's gonna come down to numbers. It's gonna come down to one of the reasons that I like that we go after a planning grant right now. Well, it pays for services. I always like that. But more importantly is there is rumor from Go North that they are going to ask for a waiver for the Center of Medicaid Services to forego right now. Right now, they will pay for infrastructure you currently have to renovate. They're not doing new. So if we built a new footprint, that would be considered our footprint. So we could actually have the internals built through Go North. And I know that for a fact because I've asked both the director, the assistant director Go North, and where the money lays in CDFA and the executive director of CDFA. So they've all said the same thing. If we enlarge our footprint, that becomes our footprint, and they would pay for the internal workings of it. What they are now saying is that they're going to work with the Center for Medicaid Services, because they're the ones that control this, what we can and can't do, and see if we get a waiver so that they can build new, because what they're hearing out there's a lot of people like us that are in this position. And so, yeah, getting a planning grant allows us that much more time to look for us to go in the next round to go after full funding of the project instead of 50% of the project. So that's my thought at this point. And it's gonna come down to whatever it is. I'm taking time away from you, Mike.
So my background is that we do public safety facilities, several fire stations, and obviously this facility. And I speak at a national conference for public safety building design. And the way that we look at this is that like the ambulance facility that's there now is a 50-year building. We want to build a 50-year building, but we don't want to build out for space for 50 years. So as we plan this site, part of the reason we want to look at removing that existing admin building and kind of creating a campus there is that we can plan out for 10 to 15 or 20-year growth. And then where does it go after that, and how to plan that site for expansion, so we're not kind of redoing things over the future. The other thing is that when a building is built, we try to make the building as flexible on the interior as possible so that things can change over time, because how we address these needs can change in 20 years, but we don't want to have to do a major renovation or tear down at that point. So we're looking in the future at how to address these things and spend money wisely and be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Design and build these buildings.
And if you were to do new, how would that coexist with us being able to do our service?
So we've looked at the site a little bit, and one of the things would be my idea is to, one of the issues they have is getting from the administration building to the ambulances in inclement weather, particularly in winter, it's dangerous. So how would we add on to the ambulance facility and create one interior space? So we would build from the ambulance facility to the existing facility while it's still in operation, get them into that new section, and then tear down and build the rest of the building, if that's the way we go. But we've thought through how we keep this thing up and operating. We're doing this in Walpole now. We tore down part of the existing station for the new section, and then they're continuing to operate out of the base and fully function out of the fire station. So that is a common goal of these sites. Hope that answers your question.
Walpole, so they're increasing their
They are. They're only adding one ambulance. It's just that they had no decon, they had no interior space to service their, no staff support. Right, so that part of what that new set station is addressing. Not only adding one ambulance, but it's also how are they servicing their staff? We've actually got future growth on the second floor for bunking. To go into a partial career department. And
So you know, is anybody else expanding? You know,
not that I'm aware of, they're all counting on you guys, because we're working Winchester, Hinsdale, Charlestown. That's it, all.
So,
gotcha.
and some of the others have already expanded.
We have a new station we did in Westmoreland, they don't have ambulance, so never
Yeah.
had plans.
That Westmoreland one is nice. Thank you.
They don't have an ambulance?
I toured it. No, they don't.
No, they don't, they have no plans.
It's a nice
Can we
place.
just, one thing, can we all just speak up just a little bit? I want to make sure that it's recorded because Davis is gonna take notes from this.
You better turn up the volume.
If I may. The future is unknown, basically, as we all know. It would seem that going with the, what I call short term, 15 or 20 years planning at the moment would be easier than trying to look further out, because there's just too much is changing, right? We really don't know who else will pick up or what will happen. So I think at the moment, I think that just doing what we can with the existing facility would make more sense to me.
That existing building is the part that we renovated for staff is done. Right, it's nothing I can.
I'm sorry, I meant building on that property, that's what I meant.
Building on that
My
site.
apologies,
Okay.
but I meant, yeah, working off that piece of property.
So I'm envisioning some sort of a horseshoe, is that kind of thing?
If you need a job, because I need to hire some people, now that's what we're thinking. We're looking at horseshoe order now,
Yeah.
so that we can connect and keep people inside. And that, but
So right now, we're just talking about a planning grant to see what's even possible to do and to flesh out that plan.
What was the question?
I said, right now, we are just looking at the planning grant.
Right
see
now,
what
right
it is
now,
that's possible.
we've put in for the planning grant.
Correct.
Because it was a time sensitive. And then that would allow us to actually get greater details on what we're looking at, and then we can move our decisions from that.
So right now, it's just planning,
I
sort of blueprinting and figuring out all the things that are possible and looking at if whatever plan this is has its own limitations.
Yeah.
And thinking about how we would address that later.
But my desire is to walk with you guys every step of the way. So that when we take our next step, you're gonna hear us again, and it's gonna be repetitive on some of the things, but it's just that I think it's a dire need for the department. In a second, I'm gonna have Chief read a letter that he received yesterday, an email he received yesterday. And it really brings home why we do what we're doing. And I would have never, when we were in the midst of all this, I couldn't think where we were gonna land. We just built what we needed to build at the time. Remember, we had 6 to 8 months to build a building because we knew that we were being told that the other vendor was going to be closing in that period of time, and that we had to be up and running. So we did everything. And the reason we couldn't do everything we wanted at the site is because we were buying ambulances, because we were buying supplies, stretchers, all the other costs had to be, we were 100% startup, and ARPA money's the only way we've been able to do that. I've had multiple conversations. I'll be in a conversation a week from now with people from Bedford, New Hampshire, who are talking about some crisis they're having over there, and they've asked the DuPont group to ask us to sit in that meeting. Chief, you're gonna be in on that meeting. And, but we couldn't have done this without it, but it had its limits. And so we could only spend so much. At the end of the day, we did what we could. I mean, even the kitchen itself it's just and you've been in there, it's a tiny little thing and it doesn't really serve the purpose. And it really needs to be industrial and it needs to be something where people can gather even easier and, because it is important that they have that culture there. And then the office setup with the captains and all that, I think we just need to take a look at this. So, yeah, we're gonna tell you the story along the way the whole time. And just make sure you all are aware of everything that we're doing.
So with this planning grant,
Yes,
and we're looking at 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
How much does that increase our capacity? What we're planning on doing? In terms of, because, you know, when I look at the amount of growth that's happened in such a short period of time, and I see how towns are not able to keep up with their own needs, that's only going to snowball. And is this thing that we're putting together for the 10 or 15 years, is it gonna build that capacity for us to hold on for that time period? Or are we gonna fall short with our 10 to 15-year plan on, and I know nobody has a crystal ball, but if you look at how fast things are moving, will this 10 or 15-year plan keep up? Because you didn't expect what happened when you started to where we are now. And it just means that if that is gonna continue to happen, will whatever we're going into keep up with that, or are we gonna blow through this a lot faster than we, just looking at the towns that you know are gonna come online in the next 5 years because of their own financial or staffing problems.
And I'm sure Mike can speak better to this, but I would like to comment. I think that we were, I know we weren't fully prepared, but we had prepared considerably for different things that may or may not happen in the region. Yes, and I'll let him speak more to the increased capacity of the building. But there is a finite amount of expansion that site
Correct.
will have to absorb, right? Because certain towns, if they were to come on board, that is not the geographic location to
Correct.
respond from, right? So at that point, we would have to start looking at, either substations or things like that because of geographic region. My understanding, and I'll let him speak definitely more to it, is that this would maximize our opportunity, that every place that is possible to be reached from that location, this expansion would allow us to be ready to take any and all of that, including the logistical and operational needs for that location, as well as any or all.
So right now, it's built into the capacity that that location can reach.
Sure, yes, that's.
can I just add in before my,
No, go ahead, you go.
a few things. One is, and Mike, you can tell me I'm wrong, but we're building for 10 to 20-year growth, but we're also building a building that's a 50-year building. Okay, just so you know, we're building something that's gonna stand the test of time. May need to be painted a few times in that period of time or whatever it is, but the bottom line, we're building a building that's gonna stand. And it will allow us also in that period of time to, sort of like we did with the DOC, we know if we ever needed it, we have the ability to add another plot up there. That is our hope at the station down there, is that we do what we need to do with the idea. If there is still availability when we're done, we're gonna know what that availability is and how to build on it. So we will have that room. Two is, I believe that substations are gonna be occurring naturally. That over time, there is certain towns are gonna see, and when they do, we're gonna go in because it makes sense because of the call numbers to have an ambulance in that area. And that will happen naturally. It happened naturally with Westerland because we needed a place to put an ambulance when we didn't have a facility yet. And we kept it there and we built out for that so that we have something in that area right away. So I think there are two possibilities of naturally happening over time, and in non-public today, I'll be talking about some other things that I can't really talk about right now because it's negotiations. But the bottom line, I see that this is, whatever we decide, the building that we build is for 50 years with the idea that we understand that we're looking at 10 to 20-year growth. And it could be in the middle of that, it could be 15, but we'll see. So Mike.
We will, so chief has laid out a certain amount of criteria here. Part of our planning process is that we do a very extensive programming discussion with the folks. Look at, based upon this, what that translates to need today. Interpolating into the future. 10 to 20 years, and then even looking beyond that, could we add to this site without having to do major work to the building? So there's a process that we go through to look at that. And then this may say this actually builds out the site, or maybe this phase takes it to 3/4, and this is a little bit more that could be added down the road. Then we know that it's built out, and then it goes to substation. So part of our process is looking at that with the department to understand how does that translate to this site? What can we do to maximize it in all ways? We also, through this process, look at budgets and what this does budget wise. So it may be that building 2/3 of that site takes you to where you want to be budget wise, but we've reserved there, then we show this is how this would be expanded in the future. Without tearing down half the building to do that.
The idea is that they're going to give us both scopes of what we can do. And then it'll be first and foremost your decision, and then we take it on to the executive committee and the delegation for, because we may have to bond, we may not have to. So we'll see.
So how much of that land there can we put a building on and still have room for parking?
So that's the balance that we do, right? So we've got to provide parking for staff. The other thing that we have there is it's a site that's governed by some of the state roads. And they're roundabout there, how they want this type of vehicular traffic entering into that mix of traffic. So we're into that, some of that last time. We have that data going into this, but that site's got some space on it for building. It looks at, do we want to front it on the road and have all the parking behind, but whatever works in terms of passing through the site, we definitely need to maintain that inbound access and exit onto Lake Street and minimize only entering onto the site from the state road. I think we did some preliminary sketches just for discussion.
How many acres is it?
Don't recall off the top of my head, but it's got fairly lenient setbacks. And the town of Swansea, when we went before the planning board last time, just as a courtesy, not required to, it was very lenient on what we could do there.
Other questions? That's where we're at. That's what we're looking at. What we did is we submitted a opportunity to go after a planning grant. I don't know if there's more work that we'll have to do. We'll see. And it's like with everything that we've submitted to go north lately, it's you submit and then they're gonna maybe send us something more that they want more questions answered. And then we see if we get the grant and we move forward. So that's where we're at this point, moving forward. Submitted last week and we'll go from there. Okay, and we'll keep reporting out, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, excellent.
All right, thank you.
Do you want Mark to read that?
I'd like Mark to read the letter. If I just think it's he sent it to me last night. I was out walking and I had music on and it just about wrecked me. So go ahead.
All right, so I just got, obviously, the patient's name is in here, so I'm gonna redact that.
And the issue. The issue probably too, right? That she suffers from.
Oh, as long as I don't say the name, it's okay.
Okay, all right.
So dear Chief and Deputy Chief, I'm ready to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for the two paramedics and EMT who cared for my and transported my mother on August 10th, 2026 from Troy to the hospital and later during her transfer to Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. I would be incredibly grateful if you would pass on the message along to the three providers who cared for her. I understand the demands of the job and the importance of professionalism, communication, and compassionate patient care. Because of that, I want to take the time to recognize these individuals for the exceptional care they provided to my mother. My mother has aphasia, which makes communication very difficult for her. Unfortunately, I have become accustomed to healthcare providers speaking primarily to me, sometimes as though my mother is not present, even when she is sitting right in front of them. Your team was completely different. The paramedics spoke directly to my mother. They asked her the questions, gave her the opportunity and time to respond, and only turned to me for clarification when she was unable to answer appropriately. That may sound like a small detail, but it meant so much to both of us. They recognized that although my mother has difficulty communicating, she is still an active participant in her own care and deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. I also want to specifically recognize the EMT who stayed with me at my mom's bedside while the paramedics were receiving a report from the nurse prior to the transfer. She had the kindest words. I truly appreciated it. All three of them were exceptional. They were professional, patient, passionate, and incredibly kind, not only toward my mother, but toward me as well. They demonstrated the kind of patient-centered care that makes a lasting impression. I cannot emphasize enough how impressed I was with the care that they provided. They didn't simply transport my mother, they made her feel seen, heard, respected, and cared for. As someone who works in EMS myself, I know these things matter tremendously, and I wanted to make sure their efforts did not go unrecognized. Please pass along my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to all three of them. They represented CCEMS with the highest level of professionalism, compassion, dignity, and humanity. They are a wonderful reflection of your organization and an excellent example of what EMS providers can be. I'm incredibly grateful that my mother was in their care and that she was treated with respect and compassion that every patient deserves. With sincere gratitude, and then signed.
This is somebody that actually is an EMT of some level, I don't know what, and works for another agency. And for all of us that have started from day one, I think that's what it struck me last night, maybe, I don't know, but from day one and all that we've gone through to actually hear something like that was a powerful, powerful statement. Because,
Well, it's good training. Good job.
right,
With, if I may, quite a while ago, but I didn't write a letter, but I did express to you similar feelings. Yeah. Appreciate what they did.
I think not only is it incredibly important that our individuals understand the skills associated with EMS, such as, starting IVs, things like that, but that human-centered thing is something we really focus on and trying to make sure that individuals are, understand that they're being advocated for. And I won't say that other places don't or anything like that. I just think that all of our training has a lot of that effective part of it. We're handling the call that we're on, take care of the people, and that the family members, for example, are in our care too. These are very highly emotionally charged situations that can get out of hand if it's not treated with kindness. There's a famous saying in EMS that BLS before ALS, right? So it's, every, medics save patients, but EMTs save medics. And we take it one step further where it's, yes, BLS before ALS, but human kindness before BLS. So.
I'd like to also add though, that, the work that points out that every call they go on, they need to be able to deliver that level of care and humanity. and they've got call after call after call after call on a shift, and when you're getting tired, and you're getting rushed, you need to be able to go back to recharge between calls. So wherever they're going to, the facility that they have to live in for however many hours they're there for a shift, looking at the HR aspect of this, it's about care and health and safety of the EMTs and firefighters and all public safety. So that's why that facility becomes extremely important in how it serves them. And currently, it really doesn't. It's been working for a short time, but it's lived its life already.
I think simply put, it was the dream from day one, to be able to ensure that those in our care get the best quality care possible and are shown the greatest level of respect in that home of need. So I don't know why it got me last night, but it got me, man. I'm like, can't say what I said.
Oh, I can read that too.
All right, moving on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nice to meet everyone.
I'm gonna bounce back, guys. I'm gonna bounce back to the agenda and I'm gonna give you master agenda item number 1378, second quarter budget review. Cheryl Trombley is here. Action expected to receive information report on second quarter budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's
So this will be going before the executive committee next Monday night about where we stand as of the 6-month mark of 2026. And the combined expenses for the nursing home and the general fund are approximately 1,384,000 under expenses, with the county expending about 49% of their budget and the nursing home at 46% of their appropriated budgets. And as far as the revenues for the nursing home and the general fund, they're under about 688,000 of their projected revenues, with the general fund having achieved about 49% and the nursing home at 48%. So the combined shortfall, or I'm sorry, where we look at this is basically our expenses are under our shortfall of our revenues of about 696,000. So that's a good thing. And perhaps if we continue on that trend come year end, that should about double. But things change over the course of the year because the first half, we only started giving cost of livings as of April 1st. People start getting increases throughout the year. So that could go down, but hopefully we'd be on the mark to about double of that. As far as Cheshire EMS, they are currently have achieved, as of June, 46% of their revenues, and expenses are at 48% spent. Currently, I'm showing a deficit on the EMS at about 150,000, and you just never know from month to month where their call volume is going to come in. Like for instance, the month of July, which is not part of this, had about $340,000 of revenues versus some months being low 300. So you just never know, it could uptick. We also have other areas that I haven't accounted for because we haven't gotten there yet, such as a contract with the city of Keene to start bringing some revenues in. I don't know where Winchester is. So there are some things that could happen over the last 6 months that could start narrowing that gap. But as of 6 months, that's where we're standing at 150,000.
46%.
I'm sorry, what?
Billing. Receipt.
No, revenues are
Yeah, I
at
know.
46% received, but there's multiple, as far as the IFTs and the 911s, they're right at their mark. We're achieving what we need to there, but there are other components of the billing. We've got the town contracts, which that's going to come in exactly as we budgeted because we knew exactly what those were. The Cheshire Medical Center, there's no reason why they wouldn't be paying us come year end. It's these other areas such as what we were anticipating I think happening sooner rather than later is to start getting these contracts that are reimbursable through the city of Keene. And also having deeper conversations with the towns that we provide backup to that are currently only getting charged for when there is an intercept, paramedic intercept. So those are things that the conversations need to be had, that we did have a placeholder anticipating money coming in. So
And we also, the towns only are paying half of their contracts this year because
as
of July was when that changed over.
July 1, they'll start paying 100, they'll go to that 100%. So we, for 2026, we only get half of a year of the impact of this now ramped up amount with the first half of 2026. But that's how it was budgeted. It was budgeted knowing that it was only going to be half. So, you know, that will have an impact, a positive impact on the 2027 budgeting the being of the budget the full year. But
It's about $350,000.
so there are some things that are potentially hopeful over the last 6 months, because I do know that there is a contract in the hands of the city of Keene. But I haven't yet factored that in. So hoping that this will end up starting to close the gap. Just areas, these are, a lot of these things are, said over and over, and some of it's just to be able to educate or re-educate people why, when they look at these reports, that I'll be sending to the executive committee, why something might be zero. Because, you know, for instance, the municipal reimbursements, we don't get those until December. Registry of Deeds fees, I'm sorry, I just skipped one, grant reimbursement. It's the same way that the expenses for the grant reimbursements pretty much mirror the revenues. So when you see revenues falling short, you're also seeing the expenses falling short at the same level. So it's not a negative impact on fund balance. It's just both of the boats are rising at the same speed. Registry of Deeds fees. This is always one that about this time of year, they're really looking to be off the mark, but I never know what's going to happen as we get to year end. She had a phenomenal month in the month of July. I mean, the biggest payment to the Department of Revenue ever of over $1 million, which unfortunately tripped us up last night because we didn't have clearance to even make a transfer of $1 million and it got returned. What's that? That's probably what did it. So I actually have Misty working on that right now because the payment got returned to us. That's our protections that we have on our accounts. Connected families, that's another area where their revenues and their expenses are basically coming in. Their expenses are coming under, whereas their revenues are also coming in under as well. There is much more room in the program to hire more people. And so by hiring more people, that would also produce more revenues for the billing. But I don't know that necessarily the reason why the hiring or the vacancy, I think the vacancies are more there because I think the caseload, it would not support hiring more people.
Right.
So I'm not saying that this has any bearing on HR not getting people in. This has more to do with that we've kind of put a halt on filling those vacancies until we can see that the state has more cases that they're going to actually pay us for the services that they provide.
Yeah, we've had conversations with Dennis in that there's an expectation that they get every staff up to 8 cases per individual. And on some situations even higher, but it's rude. And so until that happens, we're really just saying, you know, you just gotta do work with what you got. Get those people that are new up to speed so they can get staffing in play. And if somebody leaves, then you can replace that person. But otherwise, we're just looking at holding it tight. I mean, they're looking good for the end of the year, but still, we're just having them do that, and at the same time, working with the state because it's multi-layered. School's not in session. school's one of the biggest referrals. So it's, goes right here, but even when they do come in, the state turning it around, like we can turn around and go visit a family and get all the paperwork into the state. It's now up to the state then to turn around and send the caseloads out.
They're,
That's where the hiccup is a little bit. It's
They-
better than it was.
and they're also looking at some more potential funding that they're going after that could, it would be temporary though, so it wouldn't be like long-term, but there is a population of, people that they take care of that are called uninsured. And so these uninsured people essentially are how we get reimbursed through the state contract. Well, the state contract has been at 1,150,000 for many, many years. And so therefore, they're trying to get some other funding, and it might be through these Golden
It's
North
rural,
funding
it's rural,
Yeah.
through rural health.
that would allow for them to start giving us more money. And so that would be wonderful, but it is not permanent. It is, but we'll take it while we can get it. So we'll let you know when that comes to
And I
fruition.
know that Dennis and the other company that does this, there's only two in the state of New Hampshire that are doing this. They are working with the state to have them understand that the level of intake that we do should be enough for them to move forward quicker and not have to repeat everything that we've done through their intake. So it is a conversation that's going on. We'll see how it works. It is the state of New Hampshire, so sometimes it gets a little bogged down. But we love you. So that's where we're at.
The miscellaneous revenue, I'm just noting here because the miscellaneous revenue shows a huge credit, and that is because of that is cheap money. That basically we got 476,000 more than we ever would have expected in that area. That will be going before the executive committee based on your discussion a couple weeks ago, that we will hopefully have it allowed to go into fund balance so that we can consider using it in future budget years if necessary to help offset taxes to be raised. So that is the explanation, and also so the executive committee understand where this unexpected money came from. The DHH is additional credit. This is something we got last year. For the first year, it came in 2025, and it will continue on to 2028. We did budget for it, but currently the budget, the line item's at zero. We did receive it in July, so the next time around that will no longer be at zero. These are those monies that the counties worked hard to convince the state that during the COVID years, when the state received more money from the federal government, that was specifically to increase the feds' portion towards the Medicaid contribution for residents in nursing homes and home-based community care, which we pay 50% and the feds pay 50%. But by the feds increasing their percentage, it should have decreased the county's percentage, and the state did not do that. They kept the money for themselves. So after a great amount of persistence and convincing, the state finally realized that they were not right in keeping the money. Although I think it was going to bust the bank if they gave it all at once. So there was an agreement that they would divvy it out over a course of 4 years, and our share is this 334,000 per year. And that's just, again, more or less an education, because this will go away as well in 2028, or after 2028. Then again, just explaining why fund balance is at zero, the special revenue and capital reserve funds are at zero. And then as far as the general county, again, the commissioner's budget is slightly over budget with 45% remaining, and that's mainly because of the travel line, but I think
It's two
that
things.
should wind down pretty well. I mean,
Yeah,
unless you've already paid for NHAC annual conference.
Yeah, we already have.
Okay, so
And two things. One is the 300 that you were just talking about was the nursing home, right?
that was, no, the 300,000, no, that's a different thing. I can talk to that, but it's not something that is evident. So each year, the each year, if the state did not expend all the money out of their account to pay nursing homes throughout the state for their Medicaid rate reimbursement, they do a distribution to all nursing homes. And we haven't gotten one in many years because the state, we have hit the cap statewide, and there was no extra money in this 504 account, so they call it some specific account. This year, they had excess monies, and so essentially what it means is the rates that they assign to all the nursing homes, they could have gone higher and divvied it out with the daily rate, but because they set the daily rates and the census must have come in lower, they had excess money, and so they have to then divvy it out to all the nursing homes, and we received, I think it was like 223,000 or whatever as a one-time payment. It's not in here because the nursing home revenues are already short, so we don't have to amend the budget, it just is helping us to meet or get closer to the budget projections, but it was the one-time payout that we get periodically, and we actually have not, this is the first time in several years that we've got a payout from that line item. As far as the expenses, back on the expenses, the medical examiner, that hasn't come up in a while, but it's not major money, but just to point out that this line item or this budget area is it's at 37% remaining, and this is a statutory requirement that the counties, through the county attorney's office, is responsible to pay the medical examiners for untimely deaths. So it's really one of those you don't know what it's gonna be, but we have to pay it, we get the bill. Human services, that will come back in line. There is a particular one-time credit that we get in July, but that's with it being a bit over budget as of June, one might think that could be a big dollar amount, but that comes back in line. And as far as the nursing home, we are currently at a census of 115 with a budget of 120. As Chris mentioned, they are working to open more beds with a goal to get to what?
124,
124.
which is one person below where it was before COVID.
We're actively moving residents up
Yeah.
to the third floor,
Yeah.
which will open beds on 2 and 4, so we can start to.
And we just hired, or we just internally promoted one of our nursing supervisors to that unit manager position that has been vacated for a long time because it wasn't needed. So I think that's gonna be hopefully a good thing, because there are a lot of people knocking on the door trying to get in and calling Chris, asking me, you know,
Waiting
is there
list is
anything
so
we can
long
do
for the
to?
nursing home and assisted living business.
Last I knew.
About that.
I mean, it just, we've worked, all of us, and I look at Kim on a lot of this too. We've worked extremely hard to get staffing back to where it is. I believe one of the things that people are finding is we're consistent about how we go about our business. We offer a competitive salary. We offer other things that people, and so, you know, we were at one point down to 427 for staffing or thereabouts. We're now 499.
We're at a point where we are in a scary situation, because as you know, we are trying to get live on a new payroll system that we are so close, but there's just hiccups that keep happening that we're not willing to allow it to go live until they get these things fixed. But the problem is the old system that is end of life, we've run out of licenses. So we're having to get creative, and we have not hit that. I mean, we have to sometimes here and there, but not to manage it, like, because we
This
just have a
time,
lot
there's
of
nothing to
agency
manage
control.
because.
But now we are at the point where we're having to get really creative potentially. So it's a good problem to have. We have not been here in a long time with having the number of actual on-staff employees
In the
As
last
we are
two
now.
orientations, we've actually added 4 direct hire contracts.
Yep,
which is, we would go years. And so all of a sudden, and you think about adding through either visa or people, RNs coming back to us locally. And with on the horizon, the third visa nurse, the other 2 nurses are doing well. Yeah, we're just trying to tackle it in so many different ways, and then slowly but surely it's going to start showing that we can get to 124. Maybe we can get at some point down to 130. And when I first came through the door, we were at 133. That's the highest I remember it being, maybe 136. You guys might have
I
known it.
remember 148.
Yeah, so, you know, but we're slowly getting there, and so I have to thank everybody that's involved, especially Catherine and her staff. Because it's so important, like you said, we are getting calls or emails all the time about, you know, my father is there anything, it's like, there's, you know, you just gotta go through the process and hope that they can get you in sooner than later.
Turnovers. 25 a year.
Isn't it countywide about 120 people turnover? I don't know what areas those come from.
Well, simply because Maplewood is 50% of our
Yeah.
overall staff, the turnover there's higher, but we are under the.
Patients.
Oh, patient.
Oh, residents, okay. I thought that.
Yeah, I know, I just have employees.
Big problem.
Actually, I got that information.
I don't really wanna just, you know, if they're only, it's, yeah, I don't wanna.
I
discuss
actually have that information, but
Yeah, so she'll look that up. Is there anything else while you're looking that up? Is there anything else you want to add in?
I really don't. I mean, the nursing home expenses are coming in far under what their revenues are falling short, so they're in good shape. I mean, Catherine really watches her expenses as it pertains to her revenues and holds off on things if necessary, or really kind of looks at the staffing so that if they're not able to achieve the revenues because of the level of census that they can maintain, then she holds off on filling positions, but because, well, not holds off. Ideally, she wants them coming through the door, but as she has them come through the door, that's how she's releasing the her staff take on more beds. So that's a good thing. We have been saying this. Well, we got it in 2024. She opened 10 beds.
Yeah.
And now we're opening another 15 to, I think she kind of inched up to 15. And then now she's going to.
Yeah.
124.
So we're getting there slowly. And we're doing it the right way. We're not pushing aside care. So that's important. The only thing I'll throw out in all of this report is remind you that I don't understand what in the big beautiful bill, or the triple B as I call it, there was cuts to Medicaid on some levels. But it was after the midterm elections that we're gonna be looking at. And I don't know what that means yet, but we're gonna be watching to see what it means. I've asked actually Kate at the DuPont Group, Kate Horgan, to see if there's, you know, people that can talk to us about what we should be looking for, what it could mean to us. Because I'm still not, I've looked at it and I don't wanna panic, or I don't wanna be Chicken Little if I don't know if it's real. So, you know, some people say this, some people say that. I don't go on that level. I really wanna research it, get more facts into it, then we can prepare ourselves as best we can what that could mean to us.
Some sort of summary, executive summary.
There is, and that's what we've asked. We've asked for something more than that, you know, a little bit more in depth. And maybe NACO could somehow, you know, give us something from their perspective. So we'll see.
I do have a question. Has anybody from the executive committee or the delegation brought forward requests to change or add anything to the
Yes.
budget?
Yes.
Would you tell us what it is?
It's on my thing, but I'll do it now. so there's two things that I'm aware of. I have a meeting at 2:30 today about one of those things. But, one of them is their concern for cost of food and cost of gas for what, it's right here, community kitchen, so they're looking at adding $20,000 to the community kitchen. I've asked Barb Wiseman to be there for both meetings, so she can answer any questions if they're gonna bring it up. But, mobile pantry expansion, that's been going on. In Gilsum, Richmond, Fitzwilliam, and Winchester, once a month for 4 months of a year. It's now turned into a situation where Gilsum, Richmond, and Fitzwilliam, they've strengthened their infrastructure to each community to establish a Keene Community Kitchen pantry in each town to help the towns because they were aging out. They didn't have the facilities. These satellite pantries can now offer food distribution monthly, year round. This expansion provides much greater stability and consistency in food areas for residents. The trucking and regional food distribution, at the end of the year last year, they bought a truck. That truck now goes weekly, multiple times to the pantry to receive food from the New Hampshire Food Bank. They hired a full-time driver to do that, and which now makes daily trips to the food bank in Manchester. Year to date, we delivered more than 90 tons of food to 12 agencies throughout the region, including Jaffrey, Rindge, Troy, Chesterfield, Marlborough, Keene, Gilsum, Richmond, and Fitzwilliam. The mobile pantry bus, they purchased a mobile pantry bus, which will be here on Monday. It's really cool, because now they have it, so it's new to them. It's not new. It's new to them. It was a food truck of some sort that would go to festivals that was online, and they thought this was much better for people, and they can put the food, bring it down, you'll see everything, because they're gonna be giving us the dinner on Monday. Roast beef sandwiches, turkey, potato salad, all that stuff. So, it allows this pantry bus allows them to be more nimble and existing food, and to existing food access infrastructure. Let's see. And then she's broken down, how much pounds per town they've given out to and the cost and all that. So I'll let her talk about that, but that's the one. And I reached out to Bonfetti, who's the Deputy Attorney General, to see if I was right in my thinking and feeling at this point that he came back and said if it's within the RSA, blah, blah, blah. We reviewed the RSA. We did AI to see if we were right in our thinking, and it came back that we could actually use opiate funding if we chose to, and because who are they serving?
Which funding?
Opiate funds.
Opiate funding if we chose to, because who is some of the biggest audience that they're doing if we choose to. But that's up to the delegation if they choose to. That's one I'm hearing, and then the other one is restorative justice. And if you look at the minutes say in it that then August they would take a look at where things stand. In the meantime, if you remember, they asked me to work with Patrick to take a look at what grants are out there. We did that. We looked at grants, and there weren't really any grants that administratively would pay for that, what needed to be paid for. It was that he could take on more responsibility within a new grant to create something new, and that would help pay for a period of time. That doesn't make sense to me. And so we will move forward with knowing that if he couldn't somewhere find some funding, that it was gonna stop in December 31st, because that's what the delegation had said. If you remember too, in May, he came to me and said that his family, he and his wife, she's a doctor, has been a doctor in the region for years. They're formerly from Canada, they had chosen, and they have children back up in Canada. They had chosen to move back to Canada, which they had planned to do anyways. So at that point, and his last day was June 26th, if you remember, we had a thing here for him. And so I came to you all and said, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because remember, his last day technically full-time was the 26th. He had 4 cases that he's still finishing up, that he's working minimal hours, but he's working on closing up those cases. For me to think that I could put a thing out saying, I want to hire somebody by September so that they can work September, October, November, December. And you agreed with me at that time that it didn't make a lot of sense, even though I did have an application from somebody who works full-time, doesn't understand the setting of what we were working with at the time. And but she works full-time over in Brattleboro at the retreat. So she would leave that position to come over here for 4 months, because that's what we have. So that's the discussion, is that they're wanting it to go through they want to reconsider it so that they can put it back in, so it can go through the budget process. And if it passes the budget process in for another year, but if it doesn't, and it would stop in March of next year.
So
Or
basically,
April 1 of next year.
there'll be a motion that if the executive committee agrees, because of course it's gonna be a majority of them. There would be a motion to recommend to the delegation to reinstate the budget funding in the 2027 budget for the restorative justice program, so that it will allow for the program to continue past December 31st and be revisited for approval in March of 2027. Because right now, the way that the motion came out of the March of 2026, there's no permission to even create a budget for restorative justice out of the department or the county budget. It's no funding after December. So this would allow for it at least to get considered again in the 2027.
And I'm gonna make it very clear that it was my decision to come to you, and you agreed with my decision, and I'm expected to get spanked by some on the delegation side on Monday, because they're thinking that we're stopping a program, which do we technically have the authority to stop? My thing is reality is I just felt like, why go through the process of hiring somebody when you made the decision in the first place? So if I'm wrong, then I'll get on it right away and I'll go through the process, but
I don't know that, I think once the money's been appropriated, the commissioners then have the decision to spend it, so.
spend
I
it,
mean,
but
you
not, but do
would've
they have,
spent- you
the argument's gonna be, do they technically have the power to end a program?
Patrick ended the program, so,
Well,
We just have a
you're talking to somebody that made it,
we just have a vacancy.
yeah,
So,
that we're choosing not,
And we
that
have
we're not
one
choosing to fill.
place, but
Yeah.
We got a vacancy
yeah,
until, we get direction on whether or not we're gonna be able to hire a full-time employee. Because it's not reasonable to think that we're gonna be able to hire a full-time employee for 4 months. It's just not reasonable.
Yeah, so that's gonna be I think that's great wording, is vacancy.
Yeah.
Because, but the bottom line is that it is what it is. Paul is gonna come in and meet with me today. And so,
let me back up a minute.
yeah,
How many cases went through restorative justice last year? Did you say 7?
this year,
2026, how many?
7.
cases? 7. So for nearly $100,000, we did 7 cases?
well,
That's a yes or no question, then you
Yes,
can
we're-
follow up.
now I feel like I'm on Capitol Hill. Yes, you are correct in that when it comes to restorative justice legally, you are correct 100%. Now, I would argue that the program's been bigger than that. Patrick's been doing a lot more work in a lot of other areas besides that. But there are a lot of people that are stuck on this. 100%, you're correct. We probably would have been closer to, if we stopped referrals. I know Chris has come to me since he took on the prosecuting role for the city of Keene with 5 cases that he probably could have sent down to us. So that, let's just say 12. So again, is 12 to 16, a year worth $100,000? That is gonna be the question too.
Well, the other question is they want
Right.
$20,000 for the food pantry,
Yeah.
which serves how many people? Versus 7 for $100,000. That, when I look at taxpayer money and the benefit, right, of do you serve more people through the food pantry or 7 people for $100,000?
It's not 7 people. I think,
Yeah,
excuse me if you're
15.
wrong, it's not 7 people. It's, how many students in Keene High School that go to detention? How many students, you know, how many people?
Well, yeah,
in the
in theory,
neighborhood
it's the whole
Fighting.
body.
in
Huh?
any
That's a
of these
different
groups?
pot of money.
No, it's not same, it's the
It's
same
the
money.
same pot of money that Patrick works on that.
Yeah.
So
That position was expanded. so
let's
it's not
think
7
about,
people.
I'm looking at this from, you look at the money for the food pantry versus restorative justice and the impact. That's what I'm looking at, that massive amount of money. If you're saying that the food pantry needs all this money because they increased families' hunger issue. And it can be solved with $20,000, but we're gonna use $100,000 for this other thing. Taxpayer money doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
What the argument's gonna be, not with us.
I understand that,
You're doing just, I understand, because.
I understand that,
She
but.
said you.
That's why I'm saying it.
Exactly, because this is, you know, if the commissioners and you make a decision about a particular project using taxpayers' dollars, and we're supposed to be good stewards of the money, that I have to look at the value added for $20,000, helping X number of families in X number of communities versus this other $100,000.
I keep it simpler than that. I look at it as the body as a whole that makes the decision around financial for the county, made a decision that as of December 31st, this program no longer would exist. Based on that knowledge and based on not having any other knowledge but that in May and June, I made a decision and came to you to say, I don't believe that once he is officially finished with everything he needs to do, that it would make sense for me to expend energy on having people come in and telling them, yeah, this job is only for 4 months. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, so that's why I didn't move forward.
I also think that, I know I also feel like the heart of the motion when it was made was because they knew that they were dealing with an individual. And rather than on March 17th or whenever we pass that budget, saying we're ending this program April 1st, we're cutting the funding out, and therefore you're gonna have, you know, this really,
I would-
that it was to be able to provide time for a person doing the program to know well in advance that the program was over as of January 31st.
Yeah.
And that it was to get the cases
Initially-
closed out and figure out what is gonna happen next. I think because they didn't want to be there again next year, cutting it out. So that's what I think the heart.
I think
of what-
initially there was a push to cut the program. And I know exactly who was pushing that. I think that then there was another person, John, who came in and said, no, let's just make sure this person's aware that as of December, my motion would be that December 31st, that this program would no longer exist. That's what I remember in the conversation, and that's what I based all my information in my decision making on that. It was that, and that's when I came to you all, when Patrick, I made you aware.
I agree with Terry. We did what we did, makes sense, and anybody running a business would do the same thing. Why advertise for the job, so.
But it
It's up to
isn't
the
just,
delegation to go from there.
but it isn't just about advertising for the job. It's getting rid of the program.
Yeah, that's what.
That's the piece that I'm focusing on.
I felt like I was finishing the program when you guys gave me the authority not to move forward and bring somebody else on, that the program as a whole was stopped officially when Patrick finished up his last cases.
As set by the delegation, basically.
Correct.
Right, they agreed to
So
stop
any,
the program.
any pushback is what it is. But we made, in my mind, it was, you had the final decision, yes, but it was my thought that it just administratively didn't make a lot of sense to me that we move forward in filling that position for a period of time that the delegation set.
Right, because the program was going to be out of business as of December 31st,
Correct, 100%.
period, not on hold.
Yeah.
Any pressure to fill the position?
I think there may be comments on Monday that state that we, and I'm gonna make it very clear, it's not we, it's me. I made the initial push, you had the ultimate decision, but it was my bringing to you that I didn't see that it made any sense, because they made the decision. And I think the body as a whole will see that, and I just wanna tell you.
I have just one other thing. I think that you're about ready for Capitol Hill, based on your answer. For the yes or no answer, I think.
That was a 5-minute yes or no.
So that's why I first make it.
But I got it in.
Well, that's
The only
right.
thing
You
I
get it in after.
The only thing I recommend is you, I believe, neglected to thank her for the question.
At the advice of council. But I do think that the community kitchen and the added money is appropriate with all the work that they're doing. I think Barb and her team over there are sensational. They're making every penny count over there, and they're doing what they can to bring it to the communities, and that's what we wanted from them. I believe in the next 3 years, you're gonna see them have a distribution center over here that, and I think that there'll be an example, there'll be a test pilot for the rest of the state. And that will be a good thing, because what they're doing right now is they're getting pantries more food than they've ever had before to get out to families, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay, so what about gas for the sheriff, EMS, and POC?
Did we work on a contract for that?
Do we have enough money
So,
to go
you
through?
guys are
the rest of the year?
just killing me here, you're killing me,
We
so.
are, aren't we? We're
Thank you for
making
the question. So, since, we've looked at it, and if you look since February, and I wanna thank Cheryl and her team, I wanna thank Davis and everybody that have helped start pulling this together, 'cause it's not an easy task, and I think Linda was one of the individuals that really worked down in the finance office to make this happen. We've seen since February, that unlead fuel has been up by plus 47%. That diesel's up by 28%. So the blended average between the two is about a 36% average increase. You need to remember that we do have a WEX fuel card. It's a 15-cent savings on every gallon that we got. Let's see. So if you look at it, in February, we were at, for gasoline, $2.88. In diesel, we were $4.09. In March, we were at $3.58. And diesel was $4.95. In April, we're at $4.07. And $4.07 for gasoline, and $5.96 for diesel. We were in May, $4.47 for gasoline, and $5.90 for diesel. And then in June, we're at $5.26 and $4.23. So you can do which is which by then. The sheriff's department, we're seeing the uptick there in their road shifts that they're doing, covering the county around the clock. Ambulances, it's obvious that I think last month alone, we averaged all ambulance combined 26,000 miles. And if you look at the gasoline within that, we're up there Maplewood Nursing Home Transportation and DOC, although, though we do get reimbursement for transports, we're still utilizing, it's gonna outpace the price of gas is gonna outpace our costs.
Do we have,
So that didn't answer my question. Do we have enough money in our budget to last the end of the year to absorb those increases?
Oh,
Or do we have to
overall,
Monday ask the delegation?
we will find other areas of the budget to cover it.
You just heard her say 1.3 million is where we are currently, for the end of the year. And this is going to eat into those monies that we then apply for next year.
Okay, what about the increase in food costs?
Same thing, it's gonna eat into,
We haven't, we're not gonna have to ask.
no, we're not gonna ask for, we have excess money that we can utilize, but it's gonna leave us less when we look at next year's budget.
do we know how many gallons were used all total for gas and diesel separately?
I can get that.
Because the thing is
Should be
if,
in that program.
I know.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's gonna be going forward.
Right, but here's the thing, if we're not negotiating with the company based on the number of gallons. And I come back to Irving, which is everywhere, because you're saying that with the Wix card, we get a 15%. And with Irving, they already give a 10-cent discount to just the average citizen. So why aren't we trying to negotiate for diesel and gas for
Excise
all of our
tax.
pieces based on the volume?
It's also the excise tax.
No, I understand
Okay.
that, but I'm just saying, if Irving is already given the average person 10 cents. We're only getting an extra 5 from this company, right? Why aren't we trying to go for more based on the volume that we use? And Irving is everywhere throughout the county.
Yeah, actually, they're, even throughout. New
Right,
England.
but you know what I'm saying, so they would have easy access.
I think what we're finding is this is a new thing. And we've had these conversations and we are going to start exploring, like we just came back to you and said that we locked in our propane costs.
Right.
That we're gonna be doing the same thing, looking at if there's an opportunity for us to get a better pricing than what we're initially paying. But it was, it's, to be honest with you, we're just really starting to wrap our heads around this whole thing, already.
I guess I don't understand why we don't ask the delegation for the authority to take money for the gas. I understand what you said, that you can find the budget as such. But it's gotta be, I think it's important enough that we'd ask the delegation to cover the increase in the.
So if you look throughout the budget,
Mhm,
you're gonna see lines already overdrawn, not just the gas.
mhm.